Yeah, so before we even started, just a short intro about our team and also myself. So we're Lorenzo Protocol. So actually we call ourselves as Liquid Staking Modular Bitcoin L2. That's a long name because it comes with a lot of stuff. One is Liquid Staking and one is Modular Stack of Bitcoin L2. We're going to get to both of them in the coming slides. And also a bit about myself. I'm Matt. Nice meeting you all. So before that, I studied computer science my whole life, and after that, most of the time I was working in the trading firms. So that's also how I learned about cryptos and figure like how this thing can be. Like I actually like learned about Bitcoin as the first assets ever in my life. So that really changed my mind about how I understand about finance and also how I understand about democracies, like it just in finance as well. So that's how we decided like we should actually bring Bitcoin one step further to make it really an asset for everyone and making it into a day-to-day assets in our daily life. So that's how we started. And today's topic is about like how to build modular Bitcoin L2 with BTC share securities. So I'm not going to like a very deep dive into like all the technical details about how to do it, but just like a very broad idea about how it is possible and what are some of the high-level ideas on to really achieve this goal and why it is the best way to scale Bitcoin with modular L2. So we have been like seeing a lot of exciting things upcoming recently in the Bitcoin ecosystem. We've been seeing Ordinals, we've been seeing like these BRC20s, we've been seeing Taproot assets and all these kinds of cool assets being created on the Bitcoin network. And a lot of them has actually achieved great success. Like those top Ordinals and the BRC20s has both like all achieved more than 100 million US dollars of market cap. So that's very great achievements. But what we are actually looking at is not just having assets being created on Bitcoin, but it's actually a DeFi ecosystem, which is like a functioning DeFi ecosystem built on top of Bitcoin, and a Bitcoin standard ecosystem utilize these assets to provide financial services or more broader services of any kind to everyone. So if we're just thinking about Ethereum as a benchmark, so Ethereum's current DeFi market cap is about 80% of the Ethereum market cap. Well, if we want to do a benchmark for Bitcoin in the same kind as well, so if you're thinking about the market cap of Bitcoin as of today, the DeFi market cap for Bitcoin should be around 800 billion US dollars. But where are we now? So we're still like at very beginning. It's not even the end of the beginning, it's actually the beginning of the beginning. We're not even close to the 800 billion US dollars goal. So in order to really achieve that, we need a really functioning, high performance, and fully scalable L2 ecosystem on top of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin currently has like so many limitations on it. One is like it has very slow I/O2 storage. So the current block time is still 10 minutes. And for every 10 minutes, even with the SegWit upgrade and the Taproot upgrade, it's still like you can write less than 4 megabytes in every 10 minutes. So that's like about 6.7 kilobytes per second. It's super slow. And besides about the price, it's also very, because of the speed, it's also very expensive to write to it. So with the Ordinals, like the peak of like writing to Bitcoin is actually about 500 Satoshis per byte fee rate. So that means if you want to write one block at this fee rate, that would cost you 5 Bitcoins just for writing one block. That's also like, it's just like unaffordable to writing any data. And also a lot of the L2 solutions currently, they are like very centralized. The two things is like one is centralized trust. Is that you will have to trust some like third-party entities to provide the service to you, or just provide some like single nodes to run those whatever proofs they are providing there. And also two, so the centralized system availability is also a problem as well. Is that, so if there's only like very limited numbers of nodes providing services, if they are down, the entire service is down, or like all the business beauty on top of it is down as well. That's also not something ideal. And also, we have execution constraints on top of that, which everyone is very familiar about, is that Bitcoin is on a UTXO basis. This is not very compatible with all of the modern execution environment and also smart contract kind of pattern of execution environment as well. And the last stuff is about asset compatibilities. So asset compatibility is like a two-way thing. So whatever data format, it's in JSON, it's in script, or it's in whatever format you have on Bitcoin, you have to make it compatible on L2. and whatever assets you created on L2, whether it's a smart contract or it's the other types of like data, programmable data on L2, you'll be able to settle it on Bitcoin L1 as well, so that you can have like the bridge connecting the two layers seamlessly. So one proven successful way on Ethereum is actually the modularity, is to getting everything to be modular. So on the very beginning, so Ethereum is like a monolithic blockchain which having all the functionalities. It executes all of the smart contracts, it does the settlement, it stores data, and also it talks to the other blockchain through interoperability layers as well. It basically does everything. But also we noticed like Ethereum once had the same dilemma as what we have in Bitcoin today as well, is that it's not fast enough and it's very expensive to store data onto it, and it has like all these, it does not support like different alternative language and alternative execution environment on top of that as well. So that's when modular blockchain has become a huge thing for everyone. So if we like take a look at today's ecosystem, if we talk about data availability, of course, Ethereum is still the biggest one storing all of the data, the finalities of all the data onto it. But also we have a lot of alternatives to it. We got like EigenDA to store data, we got Silencia to store data, we got Avail, Near, and a lot of other options for us to store data onto it. And also, if you talk about the settlement, also like verifying the correctness of the information. So we have a lot of rollup SDKs out there for us to select. You know, like Arbitrum ones, Optimism ones, CK, Polygon, and a number of others as well. And we have shared sequencers like Espresso and Radius. And also on top of that, we have a lot of L2 as a service kind of platforms to combine all of these modules into one and provide service to everyone. So what are the perks to that? So one thing is obviously is the highly modularized for everything. So if you learn about computer science, the first principle for everything is single responsibility principle, is that we want to keep everything simple, just to do one thing and to do one thing correct and to do one thing right. So this is like basically the ethos in a modular blockchain as well, is that you do one thing and you do that thing really well. And also with this modular setup, it's very easy to do replication. So a lot of the work we're doing is that, so how to value a work's like its worth is that how many times this can be replicated and how many different places the same work can be applied to. So if you're going to build everything in modules, so you can basically reuse this module in every L2 and in everything. So it's just going to multiply the worth of any single work you put into it. And also for users, it's like high customization. So you can customize it for any purpose you want to build it on. It can be an AI chain, gaming chain, DeFi chain, or whatever thing you want to build on top of it. And also easy to innovate. So if you want to do innovation, just do one fraction of the work and you reuse the rest of the technical stack. So you don't have to rebuild everything. And essentially, on the very beginning, Ethereum is just one chain. And for today, it's like everything, like every decentralized ecosystem, like providing services to Ethereum can be considered as part of Ethereum as well. And that's how the scalability way for Ethereum. So does the same idea applies on Bitcoin? I think the answer is yes. So for a lot of these new Bitcoin assets like Ordinals, BRC20s, like Taproot assets or RGB assets, essentially they're just using Bitcoin as an DA layer. Like the same way as all of these Ethereum applications and Ethereum assets has been using Ethereum as a DA layer as well. So for all of these missing components, like the smart, the smart contract execution environment, like the consensus and the settlement solutions, or like the DAs, we can just provide them as different modules. And also, we can provide alternative options for each modules, and we can provide a stack to combine them into one and to customize with different selections in every module. And also, the next thing is, so we can have different architectures building on top of that. But the next important thing is blockchain is all about decentralized assets and assets rights and property rights. So how can we settle assets onto Bitcoin if we're building an architecture, modular architecture? So if we do a revise on what are programmable assets, or even before that, what is really a program? So if we think about a program like in the memory or in the stack, how does it look like? So basically, it has this static data, which are the metadata on top of that. And below that, there are the programs, like the real instructions beneath that. These are the executables. And then we have all the state. These are all these data like on top of the stacks, and also some of the memories you allocated in the heap for storing data. That's kind of the state of execution of this executing of this program. And also, one thing special about just like decentralization is that you have to provide a validity proof. You have to provide some proof that the execution and the state is actually correct. So as long as we can have the four stuff, we can actually kind of represent the state of any decentralized assets, and also we can store the state of the assets on any storage that we have in our hand. So the idea is that we can actually store a lot of the root hash or store a lot of these pointers on Bitcoin. While for the really large amount of the data, for example, if we are going to compiling an EVM Solidity contract, so once it's compiled, it becomes like an executable binary. We just store this binary on the DA layer, and we have a hash from Bitcoin to point to that assemblies on the DA layer. And also on top of that, we need to provide a lot of extra stuff depending on what's the settlement architectures you have. It could be some ZK proof to prove the correctness of execution. It can be some like Merkleized proof to prove the current states and also correctness of execution of the smart contract as well. So basically, you have the assembly being stored on the DA, you have the current states to be stored on the DA, and also you have all these kinds of proofs stored on the DA to prove the correctness of these data. So if you want to use this data, for example, in EVM, you just like load these pointers from Bitcoin, and with all these hashes, you load these supplemental data, all these binary data, all these proof from the DA, and you check the correctness of this data. If everything just like aligns, everything makes sense, you just like load all of these data into EVM, you keep executing on it, and to get the new state, and then you settle onto Bitcoin and onto the DA as well. So what's the big perk with all of these like modular setup and also all these different asset standards to be introduced in the Bitcoin ecosystem? So I would say like the only one reason that we have all these different like good blockchains we have today is because Bitcoin didn't do a perfect job in the first place. It does not support a Turing complete execution environment. It's not fast enough. It has all this and that problems, so that we need all these different blockchains today to just kind of like to make the world better. But it's time for us to bring all these great technologies back into the Bitcoin ecosystem. So, for example, if we want to just build an EVM as morphic blockchains on top of Bitcoin, we can basically just using Bitcoin as an DA, and we have another DA to store all these like EVM related data on top of it, and we have POS on top of it, and we have EVM execution environment on top of it, so that we can kind of build and blockchain architecture the same thing as Ethereum. Or if we say, just an example, like, okay, I think like Move language would be a very cool language. It's like very secure execution environment. Why don't we like build a Move execution on top of Bitcoin EVM, on Bitcoin network to secure the transactions of Bitcoin? You can also do that. So if you like put Move VM on top of that, and you have the Aptos BFT as the consensus, and you store the Aptos assets, for example, standards on top of that, and you can build like an Aptos as morphic Bitcoin L2 on top of it. So one observation we have today is that once Ordinals has been introduced, a lot of ecosystem, a lot of like communities are trying to kind of create their own Ordinals into the Bitcoin ecosystem to bring the hype into their ecosystem as well. So why don't we just take it like one step further? So we don't just like bring the memes, and we just don't bring the like hype into the Bitcoin, but also we actually bring the technology and bring the people, the user, the application, and the capitals into the Bitcoin. Just like using Bitcoins for everything onto this, like for these good technologies we have as of today. So the next question would be, yes, we can build all these like modular setups, and we can have like all these different stuff. So why should we trust these like decentralized systems outside of Bitcoin? And one more question is, we have different modules like in this modular setup. Why these modules should be trusting each other at all? So the answer to that is Bitcoin shared security. It's actually, this is a picture not created by me, it's created by Babylon. So the team actually invented BTC shared security, and we are just using them. So the idea is that So BTC share security is like a marketplace. On one side, there are the BTC holders. They're happy to provide and share securities to those POS or decentralized systems that need security. And on the other side, these are these decentralized systems. They are happy to provide yields. They are happy to provide rewards, but just for like using the BTC share securities to secure their network. So the BTC share security or the BTC staking protocol is basically a marketplace to connecting both sides and providing rewards for BTC staking. So a lot of things is that, so people would have concerns, like if I am using BTC, like why do I want to use BTC? Or if we're just like using it as a bootstrap, like should I be quit using it at some point? But there's like one thing works really well with BTC share security is modular BTC setup. So think about this. So if you're like building a decentralized system working on top of Bitcoin and used to scale Bitcoin, does it make sense if it's not secured by Bitcoin at all? No, it doesn't make sense. So everything should and like have to be secured by Bitcoin. And the easiest way to do it is using BTC share security. So with all these Bitcoins, market caps on top of it, and the holders just like stake to all these decentralized systems through the BTC share security networks and just use it in all of these different modules. And if you want to make it even more secure, different modules can even have like a safety threshold. So you can say, I can only want to work with this module as long as it has a TVL of a certain amount. For example, only if you have like 100 million US dollars worth of Bitcoins TVL like on your stake, otherwise I'm not going to work with you. So that's kind of like everyone is on the same trust base. So if you think about like different modules having different trust bases, I mean, they will have different securities. And different securities means vulnerabilities. But now that every module is secured by Bitcoin and everyone's security providers are all the same, so there is actually no difference in like the security levels on top of that. So everyone should be happily trusting each other. And the only like the risk we have is, what if Bitcoin market cap actually go down to zero? But this will never happen. So we won't have any concerns using these primitives on top of these modular setups. And also to bootstrap the Bitcoin L2s, we actually have some more architectures on top of that to help these Bitcoin L2s to be successful. So we are providing this Lorenzo liquid staking on top of BTC share securities. It provides several stuff. One is that liquid staking is after you stake, you will still have the liquid staking tokens of the same shares so that you'll still keep liquidities. And also two, we'll accept small amounts of BTC staking. So no matter how small amount of BTC you're staking to those decentralized systems, you will still be eligible to collect rewards from staking. And also we provide some security guarantees so that it will not like be slashed very easily. So on the other side, we're going to launch this Lorenzo L2 as a service to combine all of these modules into functioning in a customized L2s. So the idea is that, so with more TVLs being going through us, we're going to be allocating more TVL to these Bitcoin L2 modules to help them like being successful. This is like the bootstrapping stage. And when these L2s become more successful, they'll bring in more users and more capitals and more tractions, so we can have more TVLs to secure all of these networks. So this is like how this flywheel is all about. So for this call, it's for this like presentation, it's not really kind of just a showcase of how much we have been done. It's actually like a call for actions on like having more builders to be joining us. So the question would be like, why should we build now, right? So one good saying is that during a gold rush, just sell shovels. Is that so? Just building the tools, building some tools can be reused for everyone is the most, like the best thing to do at this stage. Because we all know Bitcoin's DeFi ecosystem is going to be very huge, to be very successful, and we just need some tools to make it happen. So thinking about how OP Stacks has been used by so many chains, has been empowered so many platforms, we're doing exactly the same thing today and even bigger. So just like a Bitcoin ecosystem is like at least 3 times bigger than Ethereum market cap as of today, and the DeFi market and the market worth should be at least 3 times bigger as of today, say Ethereum as well. So just like build anything like VM, Sequencer, OP Stack, ZK Stack, DA interoperability, DeFi infra, anything can be useful in this ecosystem. So If you want to join us to talk more about like how to build this modular setup and how to like build the Bitcoin futures together, so our website is lorenzoprotocol.xyz, and here is the QR code to our link tree. Feel free to scan and follow our social media or to chat with us like online. Happy to do that. And also we have a booth 206 on the main venue as well. So also feel free to drop by and like have a conversation with us. So we have a lot of swags and also a lot of like just chill with us. So and also we are hiring. So if you're interested in joining us, please email career@lorenzoprotocol.xyz. So we're happy to have more collaborators on our way to building the future of Bitcoins together. That's it. Thanks, everyone.